A Little to the Left is a cute puzzle game that was released in 2022, but has recently gotten a bit of traction due to its recent sale on Steam. I wanted to see what the fuss is about, and decided to give it a try, albeit, late to the party. No, not by buying the game on Steam, don't be ridiculous. I got it on Game Pass. To be honest, I never felt like I was the target demographic based on the description. For one, I am a dog person, and as we know, dog people want everyone to know that they're dog people. And two, I'm not really into cozy games all that much. I need a little bit more suffering to spice up my gaming experience, if you know what I mean. Nevertheless, I downloaded the game and started doing these simple puzzles, and after the first 3 or 4, I could confidently say, I didn't get it. I mean, it's cute, and the music's a vibe, but I really wasn't expecting it to be fun for me. As I was about to close the game, I decided, what the hell, let's do 3 more puzzles. And then I finished 5. And then it became 10. And then 20. And suddenly I was like halfway through chapter 2 and sunk about an hour or so into the game, and I was like, what the f just happened? I thought about stopping, but
No, I don't think I will.
what I thought was going to be a cute and chill puzzle game suddenly became really engaging. I couldn't describe it. It was like I was a kid again, engrossed with my I Spy books that I spent hours poring over to find the solutions to each page. Yeah, only fellow oldies are gonna know what that is. But why did I enjoy this game? Did I carelessly misjudge it for its description? I decided to consult the best available resource for this type of feeling. Good old Reddit, to see if there are any like-minded players who share my thoughts. But the opinions I found were not what I expected. But before that, let's first take a look at how the gameplay loop works for those who haven't really played it. A Little to the Left is basically an organizing game. Essentially, at the start of every chapter, you get introduced to a basic version of different puzzles based on a certain theme, but the overarching premise is that you have a cat that kind of messes up things around the house from time to time. Now, these puzzles will have variations later on that are going to be more difficult to solve. Many of these later puzzles can stump you, requiring you to kind of sit down and think for a bit, or to do a lot of trial and error, or you can always get a hint or choose let it be to skip the puzzle. So really, there isn't any pressure to finish a level, and they can feel very rewarding when you figure them out. Sounds pretty okay, right? At a glance, the gameplay loop seems simple, the premise is cozy enough. At least, that's what I thought. Going back to Reddit, my exact keywords for my Google search were a little to the left, weirdly addicting Reddit. Now, I was expecting many players to share my experience, but surprisingly, a lot of the opinions that I found were that of frustration. Specifically, many players who bought the game based on the concept and premise found themselves not having as much fun. The complete opposite of what I was feeling. So naturally, I was pretty confused. I thought the game was plenty fun and cozy, but then I realized that I was perceiving the game from my point of view. I wasn't the target demographic and got pleasantly surprised at how fun the game's puzzles were for me. So of course I needed to put myself in the shoes of someone who was actively seeking out a game like this. In that when somebody is looking for a cozy game, is A Little to the Left what they're looking for? I recently played an odd little game called Dystopica, which is a cyberpunk-inspired city builder. It's a cool premise, but with an interesting catch. It advertised itself as a city builder with no objectives, no resource management, nothing. Just building big and bright buildings with some nice music. You might think that a game like this would review poorly, but in reality, it's sitting at an overwhelmingly positive review on Steam. That's very peculiar, no? But actually, it was exactly what it marketed itself as, and so people went into it knowing exactly what they're buying, so they can't complain. A Little to the Left is different, and I liked it specifically because it didn't really deliver on one of its characteristics, in that it wasn't entirely a cozy game. You might be wondering what I mean, and the explanation is surprisingly simple, but maybe a little bit counterintuitive. In almost every game, one of the most common ways to retain engagement from a player is challenge. Nothing is as satisfying as building your character up, overcoming obstacles, or becoming smarter and knowing how to progress through different challenges in a game. But this challenge has to be within context, and this is actually where A Little to the Left deviates from other cozy games. I mentioned that it usually starts off simple and then ramps up the difficulty. Unfortunately, it can get too frustrating, making the experience kinda stressful. Now, stress isn't always a bad thing in the context of games, especially when it fits the genre. If you're on a mission to save the world, you won't expect to have an easy time with the bosses you'll meet along the way. So having a stressful time with a literal god, for example, won't surprise gamers much. Like when a person buys something like Elden Ring, they're also making an implicit decision to play a game that will definitely stress them out from time to time, and that they're gonna have to be okay with that.
No! What the fuck?
But feeling stressed and dumb in a game about tidying household items is probably less than ideal. I mentioned that the game does start off simple and then ramps up the difficulty, but the problem is that in some puzzles, the goal isn't as clear, and so you spend more time trying to figure out your end goal before you even get to actually solve the puzzle. This puts in a little bit of a weird interference in the flow sometimes, as you spend time trying to make sense of what you see before you actually get to the playing. But wait, you can always skip or get hints right, so there's no real pressure. I mean, sure, but let me ask you, how satisfying is it to skip or get hints for puzzles, really? Whether you're a casual gamer or an avid one, I'm pretty sure nobody likes to give up. When we're allowed to and there's no pressure, sure, the fear of failure is of course removed, but that doesn't make it feel any less demoralizing, especially considering the genre. This puts us in the unfortunate position where the game mechanics that the devs put to allow players to feel engaged while also not feeling too pressured by the challenge have ironically made the game stressful, with many people feeling stupid for always using the hint button, effectively taking away the cozy nature of the game and putting it into the territory of games that attract a more masochistic demographic like myself. Now, aside from having a moderate amount of challenge, there is another factor that I felt made other cozy games, well, more cozy compared to A Little to the Left. Unpacking is another cozy game released a year earlier than this, and I saw some people actually comparing the two as they have a sort of similar premise. For those who don't know, Unpacking is a game about literally unpacking boxes of items that you will need to sort out in each room. The story uses this to show how your main character has been progressing in life, from being a student up until adulthood and even through heartbreak. As she goes up in life, her rooms become more cluttered as she gathers more stuff, and the number of rooms she has starts to increase. Sure, knowing how to categorize your stuff feels more challenging, thus retaining engagement, but the best part about Unpacking is that the game gives you the freedom to sort out stuff how you like, with minimal restrictions in place in order to make sure you're not putting items in weird places. This agency is, I think, a crucial element of cozy games, as it removes a lot of pressure to follow a rigid path or solution. What A Little to the Left has going for it, though, is its aesthetic and music. The game has a cute design and art style. It has nice chill music. The way the cat gets involved in messes is also really cool. So for the most part, it can be a relaxing experience when paired with puzzles that balance engagement and challenge well. But there are a number of times where you'll end up with puzzles that feel like BS, especially when you look at the hints, and it's probably enough for some players to feel discouraged. I personally loved the game while expecting to hate it, while others expected to love it but hated it. But I do recommend that every player should try it out for themselves. My Oonga Boonga brain tends to like flashy cinematics and explosions, but it's always great to kind of slow down and go outside of one's comfort zone, especially if you have Game Pass and can try the game without much risk. It's very fun, it can be chill, but it can also be challenging, so if you're a fan of that, then do check it out. But hey, let me know what you guys think. Do you love the game? Do you hate it? Do like and subscribe for more stuff like this, and I hope you like what you see. This is Sai from the Fireplace, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.